This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you're feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sob like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.
Knicks family, what's poppin'? Is your boy. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here for the pregame show. The Knicks take on the Orlando Magic tonight to try to recreate the magic that most of us, all of us, experienced. What was that? Wednesday night against the Boston Celtics. We didn't get a chance to do a shoot around yesterday. So, we'll go ahead. We'll talk a little bit about what we thought about Wednesday's game. We can hear from Nate. We can hear from Josh. And then we're going to go ahead and get into breaking down the Knicks versus the Orlando Magic. Let me start with Andy. Andy, what's popping with you, my man? How you feeling?
Yo, what up, Sim? Normally, I would say it's a pleasure to be on with you guys, but now I'm gonna say I'm just jealous that you guys were at that game and I couldn't make it. So Josh just gonna double up with that. So listen, I enjoyed the pregame, I enjoyed the postgame. I was, watching those shows that you guys did. Shout out to the new guys that were on the panel. Quiet Money, I remember, was on. So salute to you, bro. And listen, the game is awesome. Me and Josh were talking, in the Twitter group all the time about it. You guys were, alive there. We were both chatting up. So,
yeah. Listen, it was exciting. Let me just say that it was exciting. The energy was off the charts. It was crazy. It was definitely crazy and enjoyable, man.
I believe you.
It was dope. Josh, what's up, man?
What's up, Sim? What's up, Steph? What up, Andy? Salute the chat. Salute NBK Nation. Listen, what I witnessed on Wednesday was just phenomenal. Like, starting from the pregame show all the way throughout the game and how great the game was. Of just phenomenal a basketball game that was played in between that. And then the postgame was just on the money as well. So I'm really sad that I couldn't be there to witness, to be a part of that, because that was something epic and something special. And I don't know, I'm a little bit bummed out about it, but salute to everyone who came out, guard up Knicks and still Knick fans, Quiet Money, like Andy said, Julito and Evergreen and Tony and Queen, you were there. So just salute to everyone out there holding it down for NBK fam and Sim. That was awesome. Great show that you put on. That was great.
I appreciate it, man. It was fun. It was tiresome. I can tell you that. It was tiresome, but it was fun. It was really fun. I'm looking forward to doing more. Hopefully, we're going to get down your way, Josh.
Bring it on.
We're going to talk about it. We're going to get down your way. We're going to take over Charlotte. You already said there's a Knicks bar in Charlotte. We're going to take it over. Steph, what's going on?
Yeah, shout out to you, Sim, Andy, Josh. I think I met everybody in person except Andy, Josh, and
Nate.
One other person. Nate. Yeah, but there's another one other than Nate as well. Devon was there. It was just great. The energy, like you said, was just off the charts. And it started at Legends. It started at Legends. Then we went to the Garden. That was epic, double overtime. And then back to Legends. And it was just off the chain there as well. Just an amazing, amazing experience. And just to see people that you share the panel with that you don't necessarily meet and you don't necessarily know. And when you meet them, the energy is still good. It's just all good. So, and State. I met State too. So that was good. Guard up Knicks. I don't want to list everybody because I'm a leave somebody out. But I appreciate everybody that I met. It was great.
Yeah. And big shout out to Legends, man, because they hooked us up all night long. We got to go there and do a pregame, and then they let us keep the equipment there and come back and do a postgame. They had a bartender there specifically for us. It was a dope atmosphere, and they're down with Legends becoming the home for NBK Live podcast. So, that's what we're looking forward to doing.
Sim, one more shout out. One more shout out to your wife,
Yeah.
Sim, that hold us down. She held us down at Atlantic City. She held us
Yeah,
down
she
at
did.
Legends.
Yeah, she did.
Just setting up everything, getting us water, coming around with the sanitizer, and just a really nice, cool, down to earth person. So shout out to her too, Sim.
Yeah, big shout out to her. And I know she's over there. She's listening. She's listening. I believe she's on the chat right now. She's listening. Yeah. Yeah, but what did you think about the game, Josh? You didn't get a chance to say your piece. What did you think about the game?
Well, first and foremost, listen, it was a phenomenal game. I mean, just point blank, the action, the energy. But I tweeted this out like right after the game was done. People talk all the time about how bad ESPN is when it comes to the Knicks and everything like that. But having a national televised game for the Knicks, one of the premier organizations in the NBA, in which the Knicks are relevant, that is a good thing for this organization. That shows that this organization is starting to become respected around the NBA. That they're gonna be on national TV games where a lot of people are watching. I think the numbers were that was the highest ranked or rated opening night game in the last 17 years or something like that. I think that is phenomenal for the NBA and for the Knicks. So, hopefully, I love hearing Mike Breen and Mark Jackson and Jeff Van Gundy calling the games. Hopefully, we get to hear that same type of atmosphere and those same type of games come May and June when ESPN has the playoff games. ABC has the playoff games. So I just thought it was phenomenal all the way around. And of course, we came out with the victory after a couple bad plays that we made. Me and Andy were arguing about it, and I'm pretty sure we're going to get into that. But, I just thought it was phenomenal. A great all-around day for the organization.
Andy, what did you think? What you think?
Yeah, like Josh said, we were discussing both in the Twitter chat, and we were going back and forth. How's it with Josh, right? You gotta, have a conversation with him. So we were going back and forth with him, about everything like tactics, rotations, this, that, who to sub in, what time, right? And the best thing was like the last play of the regulation time, when Fournier didn't foul and he didn't stick with Schroeder. We were like, I was telling Josh, listen, he said around the court to the guys to foul. They didn't foul, and Josh was blaming it on Fournier. I was blaming it on Kemba because he fought back. Then Fournier comes into the the overtime and he sticks those 3 threes in a row, and I was like, see Josh, see. So we were going back and forth with him in the Twitter chat.
He's not lying.
But it was a great game. Listen, I saw the Carmelo Anthony 62-point game live, and I remember that atmosphere. But I think it was really, really close to that one, if not better. So you could feel it if you were even watching it. So it was awesome.
The energy at the game was crazy. Guys in front of me didn't want to sit down. I said it before in the post game. They kept standing. I mean, Derrick Rose to get a rebound in the second quarter, and they're standing up, screaming and hollering and yelling. I'm like, come on. But that's part of it. That's part of it. That's all part of it. I thought they were obviously, to me, a little bit nervous from the beginning of the game. I think there was a lot of nerves involved. You can understand it, right? Rightfully so. They deserve to be a little bit nervous. I guess in the second half, they settled in. In the first half, I never really felt like they settled into the game. Julius Randle, seemed like he was coming out with something to prove to everybody. I don't know if it was part of the game plan or not for him to be, to kind of dominate the basketball, but it felt like, he was trying to prove to everybody, I'm going to prove to you game one that I'm still the guy, right. And I'm still an all NBA player and still an all-star. Right. 26, 27 years old. I guess you can understand the thought process. Hopefully once we get to game 6, 7, 8, he's a little bit more settled in. He's not worried about proving anything to anybody besides winning the basketball game for the New York Knicks. I don't really have much to complain about with the game because it's the first game. I'm happy that they found a way, even though they don't have the continuity yet. They found a way to pull it out. We've seen it throughout this preseason so far. We've seen it in game 1. And the Celtics, for the most part, were fully healthy, right?
They was without Horford and Josh Richardson.
Horford and Josh Richardson. That's right. Yeah. 2 rotation guys. Okay. Horford and Josh Richardson. They were out with those guys. I mean, they survived Jaylen Brown going nuts.
Yeah.
Went nuts. And I mean, throughout the entire game, he went nuts. But, you know, at least for the first half, Julius Randle matched him. He didn't need to match him in the second half.
Right.
Which is a good thing. Right. Yeah, I think it was an all-around good game from the Knicks. You know, a few things that they've got to work on. But I'm excited to watch them and watch them and see them grow. I tell you one thing that I am happy about. I'm glad that this Orlando game is away. Right? For me, like they got this first one out the way at home, big game, a lot of emotions behind it. Now they get to go away on the road, even if it's just for one game, and build some camaraderie on the road. And I think they can go down. They should go down and get this win and then come back Sunday and get this win. But they've got to watch that they don't fall asleep on Orlando and have a letdown. That's my keys to the game. Just initially, Andy, what's your thoughts on this game tonight? Just initial thoughts.
Yeah, so I'm gonna be repeating myself from last season. Basically, listen, every game versus an Eastern Conference team counts double, because you know if you get a W, those guys get the loss. So you gain like a full game ahead of those guys. And I'm not saying that Orlando's gonna be fighting with us for a playoff, you know, seeding, but the Celtics could be, right. So you know every game versus these guys is really important. I think this is a winnable game, of course, and I think you know Fournier is going to be playing still with that vengeance, because he was you know a Magic for the longest for his you know career.
Yeah,
and you know I think he's going to be comfortable there, like he said in the interview that you know in the you know Orlando gym, that they always had you know away fans, and he wasn't you know happy with that. But now since he's you know with the Knicks and he's on the you know visiting team, he's going to be happy with the Knicks fans there. So I think you know that's going to be also of course helpful. And like you said, it's going to be down to the details, you know, like you know Mitch getting those minutes here and there, getting that you know conditioning back, you know, so he doesn't go on longer stretches. We're going to see probably small ball lineups because you know Sims doesn't you know have the minutes under his belt, you know, as Tibbs sees it at this point. So you know there's probably plenty of things that we're going to probably be talking about, but I think you know this is definitely a winnable game, and I still think these guys are going to be playing you know just for maybe not just for Fournier, but I think that's going to have a little bit extra, you know, versus the Magic as well.
Yeah, and you know the schedule makers, man, schedule makers. Fournier plays Boston. Kemba and you know Fournier. We play against Boston in game 1, and then now Fournier gets to go against Orlando in game 2. You know, the NBA they're smart. They're smart cookies, man. Josh, your initial thoughts on this game?
Definitely a winnable game, right? The Knicks are going up against a you know Orlando Magic team who's not really that good. They really don't have anybody that you can really you know they can really hang their hat on except Terrence Ross, right? They still have Jonathan Isaac coming back, Jalen Suggs, the rookie, someone that you know people were very high on in this upcoming draft, this last draft class. So I think this is definitely a winnable game. I want to see the Knicks get back to moving the basketball around, right? The last game, and you can argue like the couple last preseason games, they were real ISO heavy. The ball wasn't moving around as much as it should have been, and they looked like a total different team than the first 2 preseason games where the ball was just moving around the perimeter and everyone got a chance to touch the basketball during the possession. I'm gonna see the Knicks get back to that, and you know, kind of sharing the ball around a little bit. You know, maybe Randall doesn't have to play as many minutes if the Knicks put up a lot of points. And Obi Toppin, I like Obi. I want to see Obi out there getting more comfortable, you know, turning in, you know, taking that next step in his career to becoming someone that's really, really important for this rotation. So I think you know, tonight the Knicks will win, and I think it's not going to be a problem.
Okay, all right. And Steph?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the game. I had an opportunity yesterday to watch Orlando's first game against San Antonio. I think it's a game that we should win. Both Suggs and Cole Anthony is playing because Fultz is injured. So, you know, our guards definitely have to do what they can to keep them out the paint. And Mo Bamba is starting. And, You know, the Mo Bamba that we thought, you know, we would see, you know, a year or so ago is here, you know, in terms of hitting the three, posting up, which I don't think will be effective against Mitch as much as Mitch has, you know, bulked up. But he can hit the three, you know, and he blocks shots. So, you know, I wonder if we'll go to the small ball lineup to try to pull him, you know, out some. He had 4 block shots against Orlando. So I think if the Knicks don't take them lightly and come to play, we have this game.
Yeah. You know, Mo Bamba is a guy that I wanted the Knicks, you know, when he was buried on the bench, I wanted the Knicks to try to make a move for him, thinking maybe they could get him cheap, you know, but they didn't. And we'll see if he comes out to be a player. I think, like you said, Steph, I think he's a guy. He can shoot it from 3. He can handle it a little bit. If he gets a post game together, you know, who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, he posted that last game, but I don't think he's going to be able to post up Mitch. He's still thin.
Still thin, yeah.
Yeah, he's still thin.
Yeah, still thin. Still thin. Looking at the injury reports, and this injury report, ladies and gentlemen, is this was posted at 3:30 today, and there will be an update at I'm sorry, let me get that back up on the screen. It's posted at 3:30 today, and there will be an update at 4:30. So in about 5 minutes, there'll be an update. I don't expect it to change much. All right. But Taj Gibson is out for personal reasons for the Knicks. Nerlens Noel is out. Luka, not that Luka, but this Luka is out. Right. He's a G League guy anyway, but he's on the injury report. For the Orlando Magic, Michael Carter Williams, he's out. Markelle Fultz is out. Great. Gary Harris is out. Jonathan Isaac is out, and Etuan Moore is out. You know, so do you expect the same? I expect the same lineups. Do you expect the same lineups tonight?
Yeah.
You know, Mitch starting. I mean, obviously, Tom Thibodeau, you know, sticks with what he does. You're gonna have the same lineups tonight. Mitch will be starting. 17 rebounds, 10 points. What do you have? 11 points, 17 rebounds,
3 assists,
3 assists,
2 blocks.
2 blocks. You know, so obviously, I don't even know why I asked the question. If we expect to have the same lineups out there, I don't know why I even asked that question. What's good? Do we know what's going on with Taj? Is he? It says personal reasons.
He's on baby leave.
I heard he had a child.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. All right. Oh, congratulations to Taj then. I didn't know that. Congratulations to Taj. Congratulations.
Yeah, exactly. Congratulations, Taj. I'm not going to lie. I picked him up in the fantasy league because I was thinking Mitch isn't going to be ready. So Taj is screwing my game now.
Right.
I was thinking he's going to get like 25 minutes just from, from Tibbs just for it.
Yeah.
So. Listen, I got oh man, his name just escaped us. Mitch. I got Mitch at like 96 in a fantasy league. So
he's balling.
Yeah.
I was gonna say for tonight's game, the only thing I expect to honestly change, I think that the Knicks won't have to use small ball lineup as much. I think Tibbs in the last 2 games has went to that small ball lineup whenever the team was trailing, whenever the team needed to make some defensive stops and to get some quick points. Tonight, I don't think that they'll have that problem. So I do expect Jericho Sims to be out there a little bit more. And I don't know how many minutes Kemba Walker played, but because the game went to double overtime, I'm assuming that it was over 30. And one of my predictions was that if Kemba Walker plays over 30 minutes in any one of those games, I expect his minutes to be extremely limited in the next game. So maybe we'll see a lot more Derrick Rose. Maybe we see some Grimes out there. And hopefully IQ can get his shot turned around because we're going to need that scoring at some point. So that's what I expect to change in today's game.
Yeah. You know what? I don't think it was IQ's shot that kept him out the game. I don't think so at all. I think it was his decision making.
Yeah.
I think that's what kept him on the bench in the second half. And the entire second half. So whatever it was, Tom Thibodeau has had the discussion with Emmanuel quickly, and he did it again. And Tom is like, okay, you know what? That's it. I'm not dealing with it. whatever it was. And I don't even think it's shot selection. I think it has to do with his decision making on the floor. I do think Tom Thibodeau is going to go back to him again because, he is a teacher, and I think he understands the only way to get his confidence back. You pull him, you sit him this game, you get him back out there and make, and say, hey, all right, I'm going to test you again. I don't know what it was. He only played 8 minutes and 25 seconds in versus the Boston Celtics. Kemba Walker played 35 minutes. Derrick Rose played 22 minutes. So I guess we will see how that guard rotation works. Now, I want to take a look at the potential starting lineups, or projected starting lineups. You have for the New York Knicks, of course, Kemba Walker, Evan Fournier, R.J. Barrett, Julius Randle, Mitchell Robinson. And then for the Orlando Magic, you have Cole Anthony, Jalen Suggs, Franz Wagner, Wendell Carter Jr., and Robert Williams.
Mo Bamba.
Oh, I don't know why I have Robert Williams up there. Yeah, Mo Bamba. I'm sorry. I'm going to change that.
That's Boston.
Yeah, that's Boston.
That's Boston. Yeah, I need to get that off of there, and I'll redo it. But any concerns about Kemba Walker going up against Cole Anthony?
When I watched the game, I will say this.
Mm-hmm.
King Ant 3 said, I guess he's trying to say yes. But anyway, Cole Anthony will drive to the basket, but when he drives, he's looking to pass. He's not really looking to score. He gets into the key a lot. So, yeah, I do have some concerns that he'll be able to get in. I'm not sure how much he's going to go to the basket, though. He's looking to get others involved. But the same thing with Jalen Suggs as well. Both of them guys will try to get into the lane. And I'm with Josh. He played over 30-something minutes, but I don't think Tibbs is going to limit his minutes. Like, Tibbs is one of them guys. You ready? You ready? All right, you ready? Mm-hmm. Like, that's it.
Go ahead, Josh.
Well, I just want to say I totally agree with that. And I agree with the fact that, we're going to have to limit these guards from getting in the paint because that was a problem in the preseason. But another thing for me about Kemba Walker, I don't want Kemba Walker closing the game for the Knicks. I thought he was very, very lackluster, lackadaisical with the basketball at the end of the game, of regulation especially, and even sometimes in that overtime period. Just very, very careless with the basketball, which you would think for a veteran that can't happen, right? So I was kind of saying that I think the Knicks should probably employ like Alfred Payton kind of role for Kemba Walker in the sense that, Kemba Walker can start the game, but Derrick Rose can finish it. I think that's something the Knicks can look to employ, particularly with that lineup out there. If they want to go with Obi and Julius, I think Derrick Rose fits better with that lineup.
Yeah. Okay. Andy, what about you? Any concerns about?
Yeah,
Kemba
listen. As far as Cole Anthony goes, he has a good first step and he's willing to drive on you. So Kemba has to watch out for that drive, unless the team defense is going to be set up perfectly for that. I didn't see, like Steph said, she saw the first Magic game. I didn't see how did they ran their offense. Is there a high screen on there or motion, whatever. I'm just interested. And these couple of first games are going to be like feeling out games, right? So the scouting is not out yet on these teams. So after one game, it's hard to really get that scouting report perfectly. And us having the game tonight versus the Magic and on Sunday versus the Magic, I think we got to go as far as we can as looking on only our philosophies and strategies, and let's hope that's going to work versus them and we're going to be able to score. As far as I think, we have basically on every position probably a better player. If it's if you would want to debate it, that for example, Kemba Walker isn't in at 100% or Mitch isn't at 100%, I still think that at least the skill set is that much better that they can work around those guys on the Magic. So I really think, I don't want to say that this should be a blowout, but this game really shouldn't be one of those down the line games. We should easily jump out to the lead and try to, you know, keep the game on distance. Don't let the Magic back in.
Yeah. I agree. You know, when you look at that lineup, and I corrected it, you see Mo Bamba. I put Mo Bamba back in the, you know, not back in the starting lineup, but in the starting lineup. And I am interested in that matchup. I think that could be a fun matchup with Mitchell Robinson and Mo Bamba going up against each other. But when you look at these lineups, there's no one there that you're really concerned about. Maybe because we don't know what they can do yet. You know, Wendell Carter Jr., he's a good ball player. He can rebound the basketball. But he's not a match for Julius Randle. Wagner, we don't know what he can do. RJ Barrett, obviously we know what he's about. And then Evan Fournier, you know, he might have his work cut out for Jalen Suggs. We don't know. I mean, listen, Wagner is 6'10", going to be playing that small forward spot. So either way, RJ Barrett or Evan Fournier is going to be guarding Wagner. You know, I don't know. Based on those two right there, Jalen Suggs and Evan Fournier, RJ Barrett and Wagner. Do you see maybe RJ Barrett guarding Suggs and Evan Fournier guarding Wagner?
I think Suggs is a little bit too fast for RJ Barrett. I like the physical matchup. I think Wagner is a little bit more physical than Jalen Suggs at this point in their careers, and I would like to see RJ during that matchup rather than having a faster Jalen Suggs going up against him. Not saying RJ can't do it, because you know Knicks fans out there can say, "Oh, Josh is hating on RJ again." You know, I'm not saying he can't do it, but I think as far as the better fit, I like RJ Barrett against Wagner rather than Jalen Suggs.
Right. I think Wagner started, I believe he played like 16 minutes or what have you. So, you know, Ross comes in as in that rotation as well. He comes off the bench. Wagner is more like a glue guy. You know, if he'll shoot some, he'll defend some, he'll pass some. He's more a glue guy. So I think RJ should be okay with them.
Yeah. See, I'm just not. Evan Fournier played good defense in you know, versus Boston. They switched up a few times who's going to guard Jaylen Brown, but you know, Jaylen Brown was just hot. There wasn't much you're going to do with him at that point. You wasn't going to do much. Are you confident with Fournier against Suggs?
We don't know what Suggs can do yet. Yeah, we don't know what Suggs can do yet. He's still a rookie. Still a lot to be seen. I know, you know, a lot of people, a lot of Knicks fans, and particularly some content creators call him their son, and they love him. But we haven't seen anything yet. In the preseason, he didn't have a good preseason either. So we just got to see. Suggs is still new, still finding his way out in the NBA, just like all rookies are. So I'm concerned.
I think Fournier should be okay.
Yeah, and not to mention, guys, that, you know, after, you know, that 32-point game from Fournier in his Knicks debut, I don't think Suggs wants to go bucket for bucket versus him. Listen, him coming back to the Orlando, I don't think that's a smart idea.
No, yeah, that's true. That's true. And this is the scary thing about this team. Yes, the Knicks should win this game. But the scary thing about it is they have so many players that you don't know what their tendencies are. You don't know what they can do, right? And so when you're playing the second game of a season and you're playing against a team that has a lot of, you know, young players that are unproven, you know, how do you plan for that?
Right.
And how do you strategize for that? I don't know if you can. You know, it's probably not a lot of strategy going into preparation at this point in the season anyway. But still, how do you plan for that? I'm not sure if you can plan for that. For me, that's kind of, you know, a scary part of this game, you know, going up against the Magic. You just don't know what to expect out of the players you're getting ready to face off against.
I don't think like Sam, I totally agree with you. I don't think there's any way to plan except to go out and play your game. Do everything that you know, all your defensive principles, all your offensive principles that you put out there that you've been preaching in camp, and then the preseason you go out and do that. And essentially after, you know, 10 to 15 games, that's when you start to see everyone for a little bit, see what type of schemes they like to employ. I'm sure Thibodeau has a little bit of knowledge on, you know, coaching tendencies from opposing coaches or what have you. So he can tailor his schemes to defending that. But at the end of the day, you just got to go out and play your game and do all the fundamentals. And ultimately, the better team will win.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And that better team should and better be the Knicks.
Right. I agree with
Yeah, it
Andy.
better
At
be
this
the Knicks.
point, it's about what we're doing offensively, practice our defensive sets, and get a little better at that. And they're such a young team. They're probably going to be running basic offense, their basic defense. So I think we're going to be okay.
Yeah. We should definitely be okay. I do want to give a shout out to Quindell Berry, who's been a member for 12 months. I appreciate you. And he said, can we look at the first 20 games and make a prediction? I mean, I think we did that a lot. I think we've done that a lot, looking at the first 20 games. But
Check
maybe
out
we
that
could
show we did with Chuck D when we went through the whole schedule.
We went through the schedule. Yeah, go check that out. And maybe we could talk about it a little bit afterwards, because I think there's some people who have a few predictions. Some people say 14-6. I'll tell you what I think about those first 20 games, but we'll get to that in a little bit. All right. I want to take a look at keys, a couple of keys to the game. These are my keys to the game for tonight. Avoid a letdown. Right. I think that's important, right? Avoiding a letdown. After playing a game like we played against the Celtics, it was 2 overtimes. It was emotional. The start of the season, obviously a huge game because you're playing against a division rival. It can be easy to see that you're going up against the Orlando Magic and maybe have a letdown and overlook them, right? So I think that's we can't overlook them, right? We got to be on point. That's one of the reasons why I think going on the road maybe helps us out in this situation, because the fact that you're on the road, you're traveling together, you're on the road, it kind of forces you to be a little bit more focused. Do not play from behind. And we came back and beat the Celtics, but I don't want this to become a habit. It's been 3 games in a row, if you count the preseason, that the Knicks have had to come from behind to win. Detroit, Washington, and now Boston. Each game, the Knicks were down double digits. How long can you dip into that well and come out with water? Pretty soon you're going to come out with mud. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I don't want to continue to play from behind. Less one-on-one play. I thought that we in regulation, I thought we played a lot more one-on-one than we saw in the preseason. Right? We only had 21 assists in regulation. Now, I think in the first or second overtime, we had like 4 or 5 assists alone in one of those overtimes. I want to see the Knicks get back to ball movement. Josh mentioned it earlier. Get back to moving the basketball, playing with one another. When we got into overtimes, you seen Julius Randle. I don't know if it was because he tired down or maybe he just finally started to fall into the flow. You seen him and Evan Fournier start to look for and find each other, right? Especially when Fournier got hot. We need more of that. Randle ended up with 9 assists. And he maybe could have had more if he didn't, do so much one-on-one in the first half and then down the stretch of the fourth quarter. But hey, it's game 1. I'm not going to argue too much. We'll see if it becomes a trend or if it was just opening night jitters.
Right.
But let's one-on-one play. We got to take care of the basketball. We had 17 turnovers versus the Celtics. All right, 2 in overtime, I believe. Over the 2 overtimes, we had 2. We had 15 in regulation. But I think, we just got to take care of the basketball. The Celtics had double-digit transition points, fast break points. We don't want teams to get out and run. This is a younger squad that wants to get out and run in Orlando. Right. We don't want to let them get out and run and get any confidence. And then continue to play tough defense. I thought we played tough defense against the Celtics, even though they scored 134 points. I still felt like we played tough defense. Were there some defensive lapses? Yes, there was. But I think with maybe 2 or 3 minutes left in the game, maybe 3 minutes, the Celtics had 104 points. right? And, there was a chance if the Knicks had really locked in, they could have maybe kept them to 106 or 107. Obviously, it didn't happen. They were able to score some points. You had guys, they're a good basketball team. They scored 116 in regulation, and I think 134 for the entire game. I think the Knicks played good defense. We got to continue to play good defense, and this time, not have some of those small mental lapses, that I think, maybe we had against the Celtics.
They hit some tough shots too, Sam. To be fair,
tough shots.
They hit some tough shots. Jaylen Brown was hitting. He just couldn't be stopped on Wednesday.
Yeah, that's true. They hit some tough shots. Listen, they shot 41% from the field. Right, 41% from the field, but they shot 37% from three. I think that's a pretty good indicator that your team played good defense.
Right.
They just, scored some points. However, whichever way they did, they were 74% from the free throw line, 37% from the 3-point line, and let's see how many they actually took. I think 54 threes in this game. The Boston Celtics, 57 threes. They were 21 for 57. Yeah, and that was over one. They took 117 shots. The Knicks only took 105 shots. All right. So I think the Knicks played decent defense. They played hard, good defense. We got to continue to play tough defense. I think if we play tough defense and we play tough defense, take care of the basketball, get back to moving the basketball, we have a double-digit win tonight. That's what I think.
Right.
That's what I
agree with that.
Any thoughts on these keys to the game?
Go ahead, Steph.
Or anything you want to add?
Yeah, I agree with you, Sam. All of these are good, but less one-on-one play. But I will say less one-on-one play until it's needed, because I don't care who it is. There comes a time in the game where your best player attempts to take it over, and if their shot is falling, they continue to want the ball. So it's not all bad. Right. But like I said last night, if your shots are not falling, then you got to get back to, moving it around. In my opinion, this cannot be an equal opportunity offense where at the end of the night, everybody had an equal opportunity to score the ball, and whoever hand it lands in, that's the person who takes the shot. I think that's good for a while, but I think your best players at the end of the day has to take the most shots, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. Go ahead. Go ahead, Josh.
I agree with that 100%. I think in the last game, the Knicks, out from the get-go, they weren't really moving the ball around that much. It went straight to Julius Randle. He said, "Give me the ball and get the heck out the way." And him being an All-NBA player, he's gonna score and he's gonna want that responsibility. So I think Knicks fans, the biggest thing about Knicks fans, that the part that worries them, and I think that's what Sim's talking about here, is that they don't want that to be the normal every single game.
Absolutely, I agree.
Because what happens is Julius Randle gets in these little stupors where he can't really make shots, and teams are starting to adjust to that, and then that's really hurting the team at the end of the day. But I totally agree with you, though. At some points in the game, particularly when the game is close, when it starts to slow down, come playoff time, we're going to need Julius Randle to take that step. But for right now, I kind of want to see everyone touch the basketball. Let's get those good percentage shots up early in the shot clock, and let's be able to get some points on the board and knock those shots down. So that's what I'm looking forward to, and I agree with the less one-on-one play from that aspect of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I see Josh reminded me that I left the L out of regulation. And you know what? I'm going to make up for it. Josh. I left it out on purpose because if we have more than 21 assists, we will not lose the game. So I left the L out of regulation. All right.
Good one, Sam. I like that. That was good, man.
But I think I do want to ask you about the fourth quarter, though, right? I didn't get a chance to talk with Andy or Josh about the fourth quarter and what we've seen from the Knicks against Boston. Are you concerned at all about some of the things that we saw with the ball going to Julius Randle 5-6 times in a row? you know, and coming up empty. But we continue to go to it. Finally, we changed it up and we went to Fournier and we did some other things. But we went there a lot of times. I don't know if it was Randall calling for it or Kemba making the decision or Tom Thibodeau making that decision.
I personally think it was Julius Randle calling for it. I think he realized he had a mismatch and Grant Williams, and he was just taking advantage of that mismatch. And when he was doing that, it was working until Boston made the adjustment, put Robert Williams on it, who was a bigger guy, and Julius Randle started to struggle, right? And I think that's where it became a problem. You know, Julius Randle didn't realize that he wasn't advantageous in that matchup anymore, and they still want, he still wanted them to feed him the ball. So what did Thibodeau do? Thibodeau called the timeout, drew up a play. A nice Randall Fournier two-man game, Fournier with the three-point shot. And I think they started going with that a little bit more. So I do think Tibbs made the adjustment to get out of it. It could have been too little too late, but I think it was at the right time. But it is a concern, Julius Randle kind of being like, give me the ball at all costs. I think that, you have to be a little bit more responsible with that. When it was there, it was working. But when it's not there, we got to learn to do something else.
Right.
So let me ask you. And
can I say one? Okay, no, yeah. Go.
Okay, I'm gonna come around. Back around to you, Steph. Is it Julius Randle? And I'm talking about on the floor, making the on the floor adjustment. Is it Julius Randle or is it Kemba Walker? Because Kemba Walker has the ball in his hands. He had to give the ball to Julius Randle. He could have easily said, "No, I'm going to go to the other side of the floor. Let's come back to this in a little bit. Let's try something else." Is it too early for him to do that?
I think Kemba Walker's too nice of a guy. I think he's just too nice. He's too nice of a guy. Everyone that came into that locker room understand that this is Julius Randle's team. Julius Randle is the alpha dog on this team. There's no doubt about that. I agree with you, Sam. As the point guard, Kemba Walker should, be a little bit more forceful. But at the end of the day, he's a nice guy. A good teammate, and he understands what his role is on this team, and he knows that Julius Randle is that dude. Plain and simple. And that's to the team's detriment. Because I agree with that. I see where you're going with that, because that could have really cost us the game. But that's pretty much what happened.
I mean, but at some point, being a good teammate is also saying, "No, it's not your time."
True, I agree with you.
Right? See. I don't. Okay, you said you agree with me. I was about to say something about you, but you said you agree with me. So. Now I was gonna say, if I'm in Charlotte and we're getting ready to go do a show. And I say, "Josh, how does this outfit look?" And you're like, "Oh, because you want to be my friend, it looks dope." And then I go out and I look like a clown. You know what I mean? I need you to tell me. Andy, what do you think, man?
Listen, first of all, I might say something that's gonna be rub some Knicks fans the wrong way, but for me, isolation basketball by any player, not only Julius. We saw that with Carmelo, and I was on him, and he was a way better, one-on-one player than Julius is at this point. That's a really bad basketball for me. I rather someone else take the open three on the other side of the court than you do a step back, fall away jumper, with two people on you. That's a really bad thing for me. I understand that.
Who's that player, Andy? Who's that player taking a three over there, though?
Yes.
No, as long as that quickly, so I'm fine. No, but jokes aside, listen, I really think that Julius forced the game. And as Josh said, I think really, Kemba, it's too early for him to tell Julius, listen, we're going to play team ball and it's going to go this way. And this is a team game, right? I think at this point of the season, they see that Julius needs the ball. He still wants to be that alpha, that number one guy and stuff like that. But I really think that, the more passes they go around, the more guys that have the open shots, I think it's going to be better for the team. So, and that at the end of the fourth quarter, those 4, 5, and 6 possession, I was so mad. Josh already saw a couple of tweets from me in the chat. What are we doing now? So after number 3, I was like, this has to be the last one. I can't see the 4th one. And then it was the 5th one, the 6th one. I was like, for real. And if he would be making them, maybe I wouldn't be so mad. But I still rather see him passing up the ball and and sharing the ball, because I really feel that teammates feel more appreciated and they play better on the other side of the court on defense when they touch the ball, when they get a chance to shoot. It's not like not every player can just run around the court and just pass the ball up on offense and only think about defense. There were really small amount of players in the NBA that can do it. And those are really role players on championship squads. But at this point of the season, I think passing the ball up and moving the ball around would be way better for the Knicks. And as you said, Kemba, I think he was nervous, and those 2 turnovers late in the game that caused the overtime, I couldn't believe him. Because listen, he was a franchise player at the Bobcats at that position, right? So I was really, surprised, maybe not mad, but I was surprised. I was like, and after the first one, he was like, okay, he like laughed it off. And I was like, bro, this game is getting, closer and closer. So I was stressing out, and he was like, okay, listen, that's one, right? And I was like, right. So yeah, but yeah, I think after a couple of games they're gonna settle it up, and it's gonna be way better than was the first game. And as we saw, Julius was surprised that when he shared the ball in overtime, other players could step up. And at this point, we got more offensive weapons than we had last season. And I would understand it if it was the last season roster, because Alfred Payton won't take that shot. Reggie Bullock probably could take only shot, but Fournier could do that dribble, step aside, and make that open three, not shoot in the face of the guy. And RJ, he's also developed his game. So listen, I think Julius should feel more comfortable and trust the teammates on the court.
Yeah,
he had 9 assists, Andy. I think he is but I agree, he does have times when he goes into that mode, but I don't think it was the entire game. I mean, we took 105 shots. How many shots did Julius take out of that? And this is just how the NBA is. When it was Kobe Bryant, when it's Lillard, it doesn't really matter. That's just how the NBA is. The ball is in your best player's hands at some point. But I agree. It's just finding that balance. Because I agree. I don't like when he's doing it over and over and over. I agree with that as well. So it's finding a balance. But there was also one play when he got it against the mismatch and he hit Mitch. And so, just because you have it doesn't necessarily mean you have to take the shot every time. You're drawing so much attention. You should be able to find people easily. And that time he found Mitch remind me of that Michael Jordan double nickel game, right? When it was like out of nowhere, he just found Mitch at the basket. So we'll see. I do think he has to get better at that.
Here's where I disagree with Andy just slightly, right? One, if it's isolation basketball, you're not shooting up over 2 guys, right? Because that's not an isolation play. That's number one. Number two, if you're better than the guy that's defending you and your step back jump shot is money on someone that can't guard you, that is a plus for the offense. That's guaranteed points almost, right? So I think that, like Steph was saying, there's a way for it to be balanced. I know that last season we were running everything through Julius Randle. It was isolation down to the last 2 or 3 seconds on the shot clock, or what have you, and he had to force up some jump shots. Now I think it's a little bit better because of the threats that we have on the floor. And if we can use Julius Randle to win those one-on-one matchups, because Grant Williams was no answer for Julius Randle. He was doing whatever he wanted to do. Boston made the adjustment. Now, if you have a problem with after that Julius Randle continuing to do that, I'm with you 100%. But whenever there's a mismatch on the floor, you have to exploit that matchup, and you're going to get points out of that. So I just disagree with you on the fact that any isolation situation is wrong. I definitely think there needs to be a balance.
Yeah.
90-10 balance. Well, 95-5, right?
Yeah. But Andy, you said something. You said something that I think just sparked something for me. You said when Julius Randle realized that Evan Fournier could score the basketball, right? Because yeah, he's been practicing with him, he's played against them, you know, in games and things like that. But I still does think it takes game time experience in real games to say, yeah, I can trust this guy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, let me get him the ball because I can trust him. I know he's going to be successful when he does something, you know, and it might take him a little while to, you know, coming from the teammates that he had last year. You know, it might take him a few games to really say, okay, I really can't trust this guy in the midst of a game, you know, a tightly contested game. You know, because when you, I mean, I don't think, you know, when you look at the fourth quarter and overtime, let me see, Julius Randle in overtime scored. In the first overtime, Randle had 0 points. Okay, it was RJ Barrett and Evan Fournier. Evan Fournier had 9. And then in the second overtime, Julius Randle had 3 points. Evan Fournier had 3 points. Right? So it was really Evan Fournier who carried us in that first overtime. And then it got more spread out in the second overtime. And in that first overtime, I think we had 4 assists. I'm going to check right now. Yes, we had 4 assists in the first overtime. Right. And then, you know, when you compare that to the rest of the game, we had 21 assists throughout the regulation, 27 assists for the entire game. 4 of them in that first overtime, you know, because Julius Randle was finding Evan Fournier. I think he's going to have to build that trust with the guys, you know, coming from the players he had last year. He'll build that trust and it'll get easier for him, I think.
Yeah.
You know. It's part of the reason why Tom Thibodeau was playing the guys so much in preseason too, so that they can build that relationship. Josh, what do you think about the small ball lineup?
Wow. So that was supposed to be our worst defensive lineup on the floor, right? That's what everyone was saying. They don't want to see Obi and Randall out there together because that's going to be terrible for the defensive end. However, I haven't seen the stats, yet. It's only been 1 game, but that's been our best defensive lineup, it seems. Right? Teams were getting into the paint, the Wizards and Detroit getting into the paint against us at will, right? And Thibodeau goes with the small ball lineup. All of a sudden, the opposing team doesn't score. We're getting more steals, more transition offense. RJ, stepped up in the last game when we went to that lineup and we got him in transition a little bit more. So I think it's a really, really good lineup to employ. I don't expect the Knicks to use it that much because I do think, when the game starts to slow down a bit, they're gonna, Mitchell Robinson is going to, help improve that front court a little bit more. Mitch and Noel when they get healthy. But I think it is a weapon for us to use whenever we need to get some quick offense off of some defense. So I really, really enjoy that lineup a lot.
Yeah, Andy, what do you think about it?
Listen, for me, I can't praise Obi just for the defensive awareness that the whole team had. You can't just put it on Obi and just praise him just for the whole lineup, right? But I think, like Josh said, the defense transitions well to offense with Obi on the floor because he likes to run the court. So, sometimes just after the rebound, he's already at half court. So it's easier to get that offense going. And, normally it's like, defense generates offense, right? But I think just running at the Celtics at that point of the game was working for the Knicks. And the other thing is, I think Thibs doesn't trust Sims that much, and Mitch is lacking, that conditioning to play like 30 or 30 couple of minutes a game. So Thibs didn't have other way out because Taj wasn't there, Nellens wasn't there. So that was something that he had to go with. And I think it really worked. That we didn't fall back with that lineup on. So I think that was already a plus because I was also afraid of it. And it's going to be different between the opponents, right? Because if the same with the Celtics, when they took Grant Williams or Robert Williams out, they were playing small lineups, so we could afford to go with Mitch and Julius at the 5. And for me, Julius at the 5, when we're not playing those elite centers, I think he can take all of the like half at least of the league centers, you know, on the offense. So I think that that's really good thing for Tibbs also to, you know, to have Julius at the power forward, but he can use him at the center position if anyone dares to, you know, take out the center of the court.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I think Boston, to be honest with you, was probably a really good team to debut that small ball lineup. You know, because they play small, you know, from their center position. You know, so you didn't have to worry about not Julius Randle, but well, Julius Randle, you know, playing the 5, you know, is strong, but you didn't have to worry about, you know, anybody really overpowering Obi Toppin, you know. And there was a stretch when I think Obi had to guard Jason Tatum.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's because the Knicks were switching everything on the perimeter. That's another aspect of the small ball lineup. Because they're able to switch everything, you're going to see more Obi going up against guys with better handles, right? And I think that's a situation that we try to avoid because Obi's not the best at that. But it worked. I mean, Obi was holding his own, and because he's able to run the floor, he has because he's going to be guarding those wings after switches. If the Knicks get a turnover or a steal, Obi's right there for the dunk. That's easy, you know. So.
Yeah, we'll see, because let me ask you this, Steph. If Obi continues to play like this and be a big contributor, how much does it change? I don't want to say the trajectory of the team, but the outlook of this team. You know, if he can give you 14 and 5 off the bench every night, how much do you think it changes the outlook of this team?
I think it does raise our ceiling. I think it raises our ceiling. And then I also think it forces Tibbs to have to play that small ball lineup regardless. You know, right now it seems like it's almost situational. Mm-hmm. But if he's playing the way he's playing, you got to find minutes for him, right? So you can't just only play him behind Randall, right? It's going to have to be 10-minute stretches within every game where you're playing them together just so that you can get more of what he brings to the table, regardless of matchups, unless it's just like 100%. This is just not going to work. But yeah, I always go back to, for those who are old enough to remember, that Detroit team with Isaiah Thomas when they would bring in John Sally and Rodman. So you knew when those two guys came in, things were about to change. They were like a different team. And I think he can do that for us as well.
Man, it would be it would be really, 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 really nice if he's able to be that and do that for us.
Yeah.
You know, just, you know, change the game, change the speed of the game.
Yep.
You know, from a slower pace to a faster pace.
Yep.
He's doing a lot more just leaking out. You know, if his man shoots the ball, you see him leaking out. He's not even going in for a rebound or bothering to box out. And obviously, I think that's by design, right? But he's leaking out, and that's going to put pressure on opposing offenses to not go to the glass, to leak out, or to get back because Obi's leaking out. You know what I mean? That puts a lot of pressure on a defense, I think.
No doubt about it.
Yeah, it puts a lot of pressure on the defense.
Can I say something else? Go ahead, Andy.
Yeah, just to add, you know, before you go, Steph, and the really important thing with this leaking out with Obi, that he's basically, we can call him a big man, because there's a totally different thing if a guy like IQ leaks out, because he's, you know, rarely going to go straight to the cup. He's going to pull up for the 3. And Obi, you know that he's going to go for a dunk. And if you got 2 guards, you know, backing up the, you know, the defense, he's just going to go at him. And he's not, you know, you don't have to be a great finisher. If you're like a head, you know, like a foot taller than a guy, you're just going to go at him no matter what. And, you know, if it was a guard leaking out, he would have to go that one-on-one route, you know, try to get the contact and stuff like that. Obi's just going to dunk on him. He's not going to be thinking about it. So that's really an important thing, because that makes the defense think. And that gets that, you know, at least that wing, that small forward, you know, thinking about getting back on defense in case that thing happens, right? So
Right.
that gets that guy from, you know, from, for example, in Boston, it took that guy off the offensive glass for them. So, you know, it was easier for the Knicks to rebound. So
yeah,
that also an idea.
Changes everything. Steph, you were gonna say something?
I was gonna say, even when he leaks out, even if there's smaller guys back there, he's not just bullying his way to the basket. Like there was one time when he was driving to, he was on the fast break. Somebody was there. It should have been a foul and one, and he still made it. It was a nice touch, you know, off the glass, and it should have been an and one. This was in transition, the pass to Mitch. So for me, he's not just running and jumping and making the layups and the easy play. He's making some tough shots out there. He's shooting it with touch. He's making the pass to Mitch, which shows he's in the game. So the IQ, which was probably already there, is coming to light, and you're really being able to see that he understands the game.
Right. Any thoughts on you know, we touched on it earlier, Emmanuel Quickley. Any thoughts on Emmanuel Quickley, and if, you know, he gets a quick hook tonight again, and why you think he got that quick hook?
Go ahead, Andy.
Go ahead, Andy. I know Andy's happy about this one, so go ahead, Andy.
I think, listen, to be serious, I think IQ pulled the son of Tibbs card out too soon. You know, everybody baptized him as Tibbs' son. I think he pulled that card, you know, a little bit too early with those, you know, shot selection. But he had the same shot selection last year. But since we didn't have any other offensive options, you know, Tibbs was cool with it. Now, when you take a shot like that, and Tibbs just thinks about it. Listen, I could have had Fournier, you know, do this or that, Kemba do this and that. You know, the cachet of Quickley is dropped down the ladder for Tibbs on this with this roster, right? So I think, so I think, you know, and it's not like he lost the trust of Tibbs or stuff like that. But listen, he has to be thinking about how he's playing now, because, you know, we got more options and we got more guys that can take better shots. And, you know, as Tibbs always say, better shot is a more efficient shot, and he loves efficiency on the offense. So, you know, until they implement that 4-point line in the NBA, I don't think, you know, Quickley is going to be taking like, you know, 3-4 of those chucking shots.
Right.
Do you think it was just the shot selection, or, you know, did it have to do with the, you know,
listen,
decision making as far as getting basketball to people? What?
Yes.
Yeah, I that also. But I know I was pointing that out, you know, last season, and he was cool with it. I think this season that shot that he took, that just, you know, triggered Tibbs, you know, looking at the bench, and he was like, okay, you're next. So I think that shot, like, you know, poured it over.
When I watched the game, I could have missed that. When I watched the game over, I saw 2 defensive lapses, and then I also saw on offense, somebody was, you know, like wide open, and he may have passed it to the other side, or like, it just offensively, he just wasn't in flow. Yeah, offensively he wasn't in flow, and defensively I saw 2 assignments. It could have been more that he missed, and I think Tibbs just saw that you're not in the game. You're just not in flow on offense or defense. You're just not in flow. Because I was looking to see if he was going to take him right out after he took the shot. He didn't. But, you know, a few plays later with some defensive lapses, some other offensive lapses in terms of where the ball should have went, he just said, I've seen enough of you tonight. But he'll be back. I think Tibbs still trusts him. So I think he'll be back.
Yeah, I guess, you know, for Tibbs, this is a learning experience for him, you know, and you know, just a lesson in being a young player. Josh, any thoughts on it?
Yeah, for me, I mean, I don't know what Tibbs is out there seeing, but for me, it's a shot selection for me. I mean, and then when you see him, how he's missing, just doesn't really seem comfortable yet. I think, you know, during the last game, he kind of was a detriment on the floor being out there. And then I think he had some turnovers that he had as well, where he made some boneheaded passes. And, you know, Tibbs definitely gave him the quick hook. So hopefully it'll get better for him. You know, it is a young season. Emmanuel quickly is still young. I know he was going to be a big part of our rotation. I still think he will, but it's going to take him a little bit of time to kind of find his groove with that second unit and get some major minutes and do the same things he was doing last season.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure. Tom Thibodeau seems to be the kind of guy. He's not gonna, say, okay, you made one mistake. This is it for the season. He's gonna give you chances to correct it and get better. Any thoughts? What do you think about Mitch? And from what we've seen from him on Wednesday, can he repeat it tonight? 17 rebounds for Mitch. Is it just because was the 17 rebounds because of the size? Or, he's just long and able to rebound the basketball? What you see from Mitch? Steph, I'll start with you.
I was happy, Sam, that out of those 17, and I went right to the box score, 12 of them were defensive. We already know he's a very good offensive rebounder, and we need that from him. That adds another element for us, but we need those defensive rebounds as well. And of those 17, 12 was defensive. I think this is Mitch every night. I think double points, double, and a couple of blocks a game. Regardless of who he plays against. Even tonight, Mo Bamba, who's tall but definitely not strong. He just got that. He's just a strong guy now, and he has really, really good hands, and he's very quick with those offensive rebounds. Before you know it, it's either a dunk or a layup. Boom, boom.
Right.
So I think this is it. I think this is the Mitch we see for the rest of the season, and I think he gets even better.
Would love it. Andy?
Listen, for me at this point, it's only the conditioning that's stopping up, Mitch, because he, after 10 minutes on the court, he was like barely breathing. He was just, I'm gonna foul this guy because I want to stand still for those 2 free throws. He was like, I gotta take a break, man. So he just poked a guy from behind just to take a break. But yeah, he got bigger, and maybe those 17 rebounds were because the Celtics were small, because Robert Williams is like 6'8" or 6'10". Grant Williams was also smaller, so I think that might have been a factor. But listen, he got bigger. And he has perfect timing on catching those rebounds at the highest point of his jump. So that's an awesome thing for like a skill for him. So I'm really happy with that. I'm just more happy year after year that he doesn't do those stupid fouls. You can see that sometimes still he fouls out of frustration. That, for example, he can't catch a rebound the second time, and the third time he's just gonna foul a guy just to break it up the play. So he doesn't go on those funny bad plays like Shaq and full or whatever, that a smaller guy just gets rebound around him. But basically I'm happy because he's less jumpy, he's standing and with his hands up versus smaller dudes, and he's not trying to get that foul. He blocks shots also perfectly, but I think on most of those blocks he could at least try to keep the ball on the court. He's sometimes you see him just going for the block and he's already thinking to send it to the 6th row. He's like, I'm not just gonna block it, I'm gonna put it in the 6th row.
Right.
So that makes me angry a little bit, maybe because I'm almost 40, so I'm thinking about those plays. That's one possession more for you. Just instead of making a highlight play, you just get the ball for your team, right? But at his age, I think he's still thinking that one highlight is gonna be a little bit better.
Yeah. It takes some seasoning, some experience. Some seasoning and experience. Josh, any thoughts on Mitch?
Yeah, I totally agree with Andy and Steph. Listen, I think it is a conditioning issue as of right now. I think, he could be way better if his conditioning was up there. But what we're seeing from Mitchell Robinson right now is just the tip of what many Knicks fans, myself included, hope that Mitchell Robinson will become for this season for this team. I think it's very, very important to have him out there. I think during the Boston game, he was just towering over Williams and whoever else they tried to throw at Mitchell Robinson. He was just way bigger than them. And I was trying to tell Andy, why don't they just throw the ball up more? Like, get Mitchell some opportunities down there, because he can clean up almost everything that happens down there. It took 2 or 3 people to box Mitchell Robinson out during some of those possessions where the Knicks were missing shots. So listen, I think Mitchell Robinson, once he gets his conditioning up there, I think he will be a tremendous asset for this team. And, we still got to limit people getting to the paint on him. So I don't think that's fair to him. But if the Knicks can at least, get Mitchell Robinson to, some sort of back where his conditioning was before, I think it's a wrap for a lot of these teams in the Eastern Conference in their front courts. And I'm going to see him against the Joel Embiids. I'm going to see him against the Joel Embiids and some of the bigger guys, because that was his big problem before. So hopefully that's going to be coming up soon.
Next week, we play Philly.
Yeah, exactly. I like what I see. I'm hoping to see him get into the offense a little bit more. Start to. I don't know if we're going to see him shooting the ball much. He's going to get offensive rebounds and putbacks. I think him and Kemba will eventually find some rhythm in the screening role. Derrick Rose as well. Right now, when his wind gets up, if Nerlens Noel and Taj Gibson is out for extended periods of time, you might see him playing with the second unit some, which could benefit him, right? Because they play a little bit faster. We got to see him and Obi on the floor a little bit against Boston. That's a little interesting to me, to have two guys that athletic on the floor at the same time can cause some real problems for opposing teams, man. So there's a lot to learn with this team.
Yeah.
A lot to learn with this team. And, someone asked about the first 20 games. I'm not going to break down the first 20 games. I'm just going to say this. I think these first 20 games are really, really important for this team, because when we get into February, we play a stretch of 25 games that is really, really brutal, a brutal stretch. And I think these first 20 games, if the Knicks can come out, Ron from Still Knicks fan says 14-6. If we can come out something like 14-6 in these first 20 games, we can give ourselves a nice cushion, because we're going to need it come down the stretch of the season.
Yeah.
We're going to need it. Yeah. But before we get out of here, really quick, any last thoughts on tonight's game, and what you want to see from the Knicks and what you expect to happen to them? Oh, actually, before we do that, I do want to get to Super Chat.
I was going to remind you.
And get this really quick. Darren Wilkerson, he said, why don't you guys mention how Randall never feeds RJ when he's hot? He'll look at RJ and pass to someone else. I'm sick of it. I mean, basketball is basketball. We'll see if that's what you saw against Boston. We'll watch for it and see if that continues to happen. But that sounds like, 2 years ago news from 2 years ago. You know what I'm saying? We'll see. Now, I'm sorry, Andy. I did want Randall to take a little bit of initiative to help get RJ into the game against Boston when he was scoreless in the first half. I was like, okay, I want to see if Randall can get with RJ. Let's try to get you in the game, get you some easy shots or something like that. But I don't think Randall's looking RJ off. Sorry, Darren. I don't think that's the case. Go ahead, Andy.
Yeah, I was just going to say, to respond to Darren's super chat, there was a situation, I think it was even overtime, when Fournier passed to RJ and he made that three. The next possession up, Julius took the ball and just, tried to pass it to RJ really hard. So even RJ wasn't open. And he was looking for him so much. And I was like, dude, just pass the ball on the other side of the court. Those guys are open. And, he was looking for RJ so hard that I think he committed a turnover there. So I was like, and I was thinking people going to, say, but I'm not going to lie, Julius, maybe he does it in regulation time, but that overtime, I was like, just pass it to to Fournier. He just made three pointers. Just maybe he's gonna make a 4-1, right? Yeah. And he was looking to RJ because RJ made the one on the previous play. So he was looking for him really hard. Also sometimes, but he was looking.
Darren, let's give it some time. Let the team start to get used to the tendencies of some of the new players on the team, Kemba and Fournier. Get used to some of the tendencies. Let the team kind of gel a little bit. And, I think everyone's going to be looking for each other. I don't know if Steph or Josh want to chime in on that at all.
I don't notice it. I'll look. I haven't noticed it.
I ain't gonna lie, I have a little bit in the last game. RJ was open a few times, and Randall just was, tunnel vision. He wanted to score at all costs. So I did notice it a little bit. At the time, RJ Barrett, he did, wasn't really shooting the ball at all. And me personally, I feel like RJ Barrett needs to take the initiative and be like, yo, Julius, during a timeout or something, I'm open. Look, keep your head up. You know what I mean? Something like that. RJ Barrett's not going to do that either. The team was already coming back based off what Julius Randle was doing. So I think right now it's okay, but let's give it a little bit of time. And then we'll see. But thanks for the super chat.
but Josh, what you're describing to me, with him having tunnel vision, is not him being like, okay, RJ's open, I'm just not gonna pass him the ball.
Right.
That was him. It didn't matter who was out there, he was doing that.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I don't think it was particularly against RJ.
Right.
So but anyway, quickly, Andy. Any last thoughts on tonight's game and what you expect?
Listen, for these words, I wanted to say something really, really also unusual, probably as a Knicks fan and as a European at this point. Guillermo is always busting my behind that I only love European players on the Knicks. And listen, I love Fournier, but I don't want fans to turn on him when he has a bad game. That was a great, game as a debut for the Knicks, but he's also a shooter, and shooters sometimes go cold. I'm not saying that he's going to be playing and doing wrong decisions, because we saw really great passes for him and smart IQ basketball plays on defense and on offense in his first game as a Knick. But he's going to have stretches that he's going to be shooting like 5 for 15. And that's going to be a problem for some Knicks fans, because he's going to be like, 12 points on 16, 17 shots. And that's going to be a really bad game as we're going to be watching it. But, so I just want Knicks fans to brace themselves before it happens. I just hope, it's not going to be this game, because it's a, coming home game for him, as, for the team that he played the most games in his career. I hope he, busts them again for 35 even this time. So, and like I said, and like I said before, listen, I was saying before the season when we said, who's going to be the second option on this team, the first game showed us, Julius scored 35. Fournier was right behind him at 32. Yeah. I think, that might be going through the whole season. And I will be happy with it. As long as it gets us a W, I think everyone on the Knicks should be happy with it.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I do want to remind everybody before we get out of here, the last thing we're going to show tonight or today, we're going to listen to Jay Boogie's The Squad, new single from Jay Boogie's album, The Squad. All right. Matter of fact, I think this is the lead single from the album. So stay tuned, everyone, because as soon as Steph and Josh go, we're going to listen to The Squad by Jay Boogie. Josh?
So I'm going to take this opportunity. I know last season I was the one that predicted the Knicks to lose, and that's when they would win. I think it's going to be different this year. So I think my predictions are going to be on the money, right? And I totally agree with Andy. I think that Evan Fournier, even though I was giving him some flack for what he didn't do at the end of regulation of last game. I think he continues to shoot hot. I'm going to say Evan Fournier and Julius Randle put up at least 25 points each tonight. I'm going to say the New York Knicks win 115-99. In Orlando, I think we play a better all-around game. I think the ball starts to move around a little bit more. Julius Randle with at least 25, Evan Fournier with at least 25. And I think the Knicks are just going to steamroll them in Orlando. So go Knicks. Let's go 2-0.
Okay. All right. And Steph?
I think we're going to win. I think our defense is going to be better. I think we're going to see more of the small ball lineup. I think that's here to stay. Unless it's just a mismatch. I'd like to see more of that roll. Fournier was the only one. Mitch rolled down the lane and posted up, and he was able to give it to him. He got fouled. That happens a lot with Sims, with Mitch, and I just want to see our guys hit them. You don't even have to have post moves when you're that close. You just have to turn around and dunk it. So I hope we get more of that tonight as well.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think I agree with everything that everyone said. I'm one person who said that I think Evan Fournier can have a breakout season, and I'm sticking by it. I think he can have a breakout season with this team. I just seen someone in the chat say, Evan Fournier's never been the second option, this, that, and the third. It doesn't matter. He's on a different team now. Doesn't matter what he did in Orlando or whatever. He's entering the prime of his career right now. You know what I mean? And that's all you need from a good team. You get a bunch of guys who are in the prime of their careers. They may not be Hall of Famers and those type of things, but if you get a bunch of them together during their prime, you know, you can get some guys for 3, 4, 5 years, play like they're Hall of Famers. And then you never know what can happen with that team. And I think Evan Fournier is on the I think he's on the verge of breaking out, man.
He was good already, Sam. I don't understand why people are sleeping on Fournier. I just don't get it. He was good already.
Yeah. He was. Yeah, he is. He was. I think last year before going to Boston, he was averaging 20 points a game last year before going to Boston. You know what I mean? Somebody in the chat said he's 31 years old. He's not. He's 28 years old. He turns 29 at the end of this month. So, don't make up numbers. Don't make up numbers, Curtis. All right. I'm out of here, man. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for joining me today. Steph, Josh, Andy. Appreciate you. And we're going to roll out of here. We're listening to Jay Boogie. This is Jay Boogie, the squad, ladies and gentlemen. Be peaceful. I'm out.
Yeah, I told you. I'm about to put on a suit and tie. Look like Jerome or something with that mirror. Cause when you look good, you ain't gotta worry about nobody telling you how you look. So never mind what the haters say. They wanna hate what they love in the franchise. With Spice that is the orange with the blue skies. There's no city more famous with the nightlife. We celebrate feeling good, it's the Knicks life. They wanna hate what they love in the franchise. With Spice that is the orange with the blue skies. There's no city more famous with the nightlife. We celebrate feeling good, it's the Knicks life. We all know right now who brought the city back. Tell D Rose Noel ties, let's run it back. With Bird said he inking in that new contract. Some new money have you pushing that Maybach. I hear the talk, Katie say we ain't cool no more. We'll tell that to the Barclays when they open the door. Before the game, red carpets get rolled out. You see the stars, attendance mean we sold out. Ain't no arena feeling like this gym. Clyde with that brim, Nick jersey with some butter Tims. This for the ones that continue to love the hate. And how Max went from his first to his last take. They say, Boogie, why you talk like that? I'm spitting bars, so I'ma talk like that. Yeah, the media got me feeling like that. My James Brown saying this is my payback. They wanna hate what they love in the franchise. With Spice that is the orange with the blue skies. It's no city more famous with the nightlife. We celebrate feeling good, it's the Knicks life. They wanna hate what they love in the franchise. With Spice that is the orange with the blue skies. It's no city more famous with the nightlife. We celebrate feeling good, it's the Knicks life. Some real fans to the game, that mean we stay loyal. Twist the cap off the top so you can crown royal. I promise you about to see a league mess. I'm right beside Mr. Worldwide West, gunning championship Escobar with the cigar. The next track, Mr. Dolan on the guitar. Play that, in fact it's a new anthem. Tell Mr. Isler you need a new Hawk anthem. Everybody put your hands in the air. I wanna see you with your hands in the air. Celebrate your life. Everybody put your hands in the air. I wanna see you with your hands in the air. You a Knick for life. They don't live how we live when we do what we do. We do what we do. They don't do it. We represent to the fullest. This that orange and blue. You a Knick for life. They wanna hate what they love in the franchise. With Spice that is the orange with the blue skies. There's no city more famous with the nightlife. We celebrate feeling good, it's the Knicks life. They wanna hate what they love in the franchise. With Spice that is the orange with the blue skies. There's no city more famous with the nightlife. We celebrate feeling good, it's the Knicks life. Drop that. Just feel the beat for a moment. Feel that? Now bring it back.